All right, there's plenty for round 2 if you want to go through and have another round. There's an Adam Larson song in there somewhere. Hey, also, Lou has prepared a video, which is a cut up of a previous video that she made, and also some photos. And it starts off with something very, very special that I'd just like you to make sure you pay attention to as we start.
He's a good guy because he's focused.
He's ready to share what he knows.
He's very patient.
He really wants to see people knowing things and willing to educate people to learn more things.
Nate is an intelligent guy.
He's a great teacher.
We didn't want to let him go.
He always wants people to learn.
We would have hidden his passport.
He wants to transform people.
He has been a good brother to us.
He's been such a big blessing.
Nate has been a big blessing to our communities.
Ore tenanu teneti netaa ore enajoki naa oltung'ani ake kayieu nkibelekenyat amu
The time I lost my parents, Annette was with me.
He is a mentor.
It's a blessing having him in Africa Hope.
He is my older brother.
ore tenanu tekanisa enet naa kajo ake pee
He's like a parent.
Annette for me as more than a brother.
He's actually an answered prayer.
Na eeuo aiteng'en iyiok aporoi lenkai.
He really likes God.
Kinoto sii kuti trainings te morning devotion naimu net naitamboko yiok eimu enkirikoto.
Whenever he preaches, even in the morning devotion, you feel like you are touched.
He's really respected here and he's really valued here. So many people that we've asked, what do you think about Nate, or what would you like to say about Nate? And it's always a gratitude, and Nate is a good man.
He's a good man.
He's a good guy.
He's a great guy.
Nate is good.
He's a good person.
He's a good man. He's a good man.
He's a good boy.
If he wasn't good, I wouldn't have allowed him anywhere close to my daughter.
Like, he's very faithful and very generous, and just he's doing so much and impacting so much. Like, there's a much higher return on investment here. It's just such a big impact. And that's Nate. Nate's big impact here.
To understand the work that Africa Hope and Nate have been doing in the area, you first have to really understand the cultural and economic shift that's been happening. Traditionally, the Maasai people have been pastoral nomads. So they'll have their herds of cattle or goats, and they will travel wherever there is grazing land and water. How villages used to operate is that you'd have up to 200 or 300 people living in one small area, very communal, a lot of things were shared. This is shifting because the Kenyan government has decided that private land ownership is paramount. They have been demarcating plots of land that are normally 25 to 50 acres and giving them to families. People are moving to the demarcated zones that they've been gifted, putting up fences around them, and attempting to graze their livestock on 25 or 50 acres, which is unable to sustain the size of their herds.
One of the big things that we're facing at the moment is land demarcation. Traditionally, it has been open, semi-nomadic pastoralism, And now, through government demarcation that's kind of out of our hands, is people are being given parcels of between 27 and 50 acres that is now their home place.
The crops that have primarily been grown in the area are corn, which depletes the soil and doesn't do well, or certain fruits that need to be sprayed and require a lot of management. Part of the work that Africa Hope and Nate is doing is helping the locals learn more about how to sustainably grow what they need on their shamba, their plot of land.
With the changes that are happening in the community and the land size shrinking, the pastoralism lifestyle that the Maasai had used for over the years was not going to be practical anymore. And a couple of years back, we had anticipated that to happen, and we bought a piece of land to try to demonstrate to the community how best they can use their small portions of land. I'm not an agriculturist. I have an idea of what that will look like, but I don't have the skill set. So Nate coming in was the perfect fit for these things.
So today we are off to the Maji Moto farm, which is kind of our demonstration research training farm, where the last year and a half or so we've been putting a lot of things in place to research what might actually work in this area. Presently at the farm we have 3 guys. Ideally, where I would like to get over the coming years is we have 5 different areas of management at the farm. I would like to have a manager for each one of those 5 areas, as well as a general manager. So 6 employees is where I would like to get, and then having 2 students for each of the areas. So ideally we would get to the point where there would be about 16 people at any one time at the farm. So the area where we are at now for the Africa Hope farm is right at 50 acres. That's where the big red barn is at, is 23 acres, rotational grazing. Now if we come further to the left here, we have a narrower portion that's quite long. That portion is 8 acres, and that is primarily designed as research. The vast majority of that is going to go into dairy production. We want to maintain the dignity of the Maasai people, because you could come in and just plow it up and plant it into some food crop. One, the land here is not designed to sustain that long term anyway, and it's not who the Maasai are. Yeah. And so it's like telling Oregonians that they can't have coffee anymore. So this is our research block to say, will it grow here? Can it grow here? Should it grow here? And then will the animals eat it once we actually grow it?
The agricultural work that they are researching is incredible. They're growing plants that have never been grown in the area before.
Here we have enough water that we should be able to irrigate between 1 and 2 acres in perennial fodder crops. So we have them in our research bank right now, but towards the end of this year, beginning of next year, we would like to be able to come in and really start planting them on a larger scale to produce high protein, high quality feeds so that we can produce high quality milk throughout the year, and that will be absolutely transformative. 1 or 2 milk cows that could be fed throughout the year would transform a family's income in areas like this. One of the things that is our attempt in the land here is to be able to research and grow really high quality things, but then also be able to utilize that as gifts to the poor families that we are working with the idea of giving of our first fruits, giving of the highest quality that we can rather than our leftovers. So moringa is a perennial tree, but it has incredibly high vitamin and mineral levels in it. And it can be eaten as a vegetable, or if you don't want to eat it as a vegetable, you can take and dry it, turn it into a powder, and then you can add it as a powder into other foods. So the ugali, other staples, you can mix it in, and in 2 tablespoons of moringa powder is the entirety of your vitamin C intake for the day, which is often lacking in poor families that don't have access to fruits.
One of the things that was really neat to see while we were there was just how intentional Nate is, from the types of crops that they grow.
So when legumes grow, they are generous. Legumes are generous plants. So we try to learn from legumes, because plants can't produce their own nitrogen. That becomes beneficial for the next crop that comes. So it is generous to those that come after it.
So it's good
Plants that it will never see, it is generous to.
So that one plant benefits the soil, benefits animals, benefits people.
Correct.
To even the buildings that they store hay in.
So this here is our hay farm.
It's not just to store their hay, it's also a model for people in the community. Storing hay isn't as common there. It's a grazing community typically. And so, but because of demarcation, they have to adapt.
This is to show, this is where you can be in 5 years, 10 years as a business to be able to support your family. Because right now, you are making maybe $1,500 to $2,000 per year. If you grow enough hay to fit in the store, you'll make $20,000 a year. That's where we can go. Again, everything here, there's not a prefab tractor supply store you go down to and get everything. So every bit of design that was done here, so for spacing of the walls and size was design stuff that I did, even down to the gates, the dimensions. Like even having a chain closed gate isn't really a thing here. And so even teaching some of the welding guys how we can make easy close animal gates. And so there's just every last bit of it is a process.
The work that Nate is managing and overseeing at the Maji Moto farm outside of Narok has the ability to affect thousands, if not tens of thousands of people.
Why do you think it's so important to teach the local people improvements?
There's one of me. And knowledge is dignity. And for me, people having dignity is one of the biggest things.
The long-term vision for the Maji Moto farm, if they can acquire enough funding, is to have 6 full-time staff, each over a different focused area, and then 2 apprentices working underneath them. These apprentices would be bright and energetic individuals from the area who want to grow their knowledge base and change the way that they live. These apprentices could then go back into the community and teach what they've learned to their neighbors and their family, and this ripple effect could impact the entire area.
It's astonishing to me to see that Nate, more or less by himself, with the support of Africa Hope and New International and employing a few other young men, they're harvesting hay and trying to demonstrate to the community, hey, this is what you can do with your land. You can grow hay on it, you can cut it and you can bale it, and you can have feed for your animals for the whole year. He's researching what crops do well, how to not deplete the soil. And I can see this work spreading throughout this whole county and all the Maasai people. I think there will be ripples from this that will affect thousands of people.
Nate always tells me, we are in the business of people. Yeah. So if we are the ones who are supposed to give the people the hope. Amen. So for us to give them the hope, we need to be hopeful. To be hopeful, we need the support. We need more resources to push things forward. So whatever little effort you add, it goes a long way. We can preach Jesus in a different way than just reading the Bible.
We've sent 2 trips down to Kenya to visit Nate. Jonathan, Lou, and Toby went down, and they made this video. If you want to see the full video, it's 90 minutes. They didn't warn me of that when they showed it, but it's worth it. It's I'm sure we can figure out a way to get you a link to it if you want to see more. But this is just emphasizing one aspect of what Nate is working on. And let me fill you in on some backstory, because if you are like me, you're going, wait a minute, we sent Nate to Zambia. What? If you remember when Nate first was galloping around the world trying to find a home that would accept him and let him stay, going from country to country, trying to figure out visas and ability to anchor. While he was doing that, he met some people. And, well, I think the kicker was during COVID, the sending organization that we had partnered with to send him was making some really weird decisions that Nate wasn't comfortable with. And he had known some friends in country that was with a ministry called New International, which was a different sending organization. And he really admired them and looked up to them. They'd become mentors to him. And so he switched supporting organizations. You might remember, if you're a supporter of Nate, that at some point your check went to a different organization. And that organization is New International. Well, New International, when they learned about Nate and what he could do, I remember when Nate was heading back, trying to figure out where he was going to land, he mentioned this place, and they really want him to go and take over the agricultural aspect of this, and he could live on this 14-acre compound, if you will, and he kind of didn't want to do that because he's really focused in Zambia. But then when he went down, he started to hang out with those people, and I think he caught the vision, but I think more so a young lady caught his eye. You may have caught it very quickly, but the guy standing in front of the sign that says Africa Hope, his name's Tim. He is Nate's father-in-law. And he, in partnership with Phil from New International, they are the founders of Africa Hope. And so some of the things, and one of the reasons why I was so adamant about getting us all here is to cast this, things have changed. And it's pretty awesome to see. And one of the things that's coming is Nanyu's dad, Tim, is looking at retirement, and he's looking at, the plan is to turn leadership of Africa Hope over to Nate and Nanyu. Now, we just saw Maji Moto Farms. There is a whole PowerPoint presentation I could give you that shows you all the pillars and ministries that Africa Hope does. Everything from, they teach entrepreneurship, because basically the Maasai are having to learn an entirely new way to live that they don't have generational knowledge how to do. So they're doing things for the first time, figuring it out. And so many ways Africa Hope has brought in other ministries or started a ministry. And here's where I'm just totally in love with what they're doing. They have family partners, a sponsorship program for families. They have purity water. Tim and Nanyu call it different things, but they provide water, so either wells or water filtration in homes. All of these things are new that they have to figure out. Even when we went to visit a village, we went to someone's house, and you could see all the innovations that Africa Hope had brought, because now all of a sudden they're stationary, and they have to have a house that actually functions and serves purposes, and instead of a mud hut. And so everything from now to chimneys, because they would have fires, but no chimneys. So ventilation, water in their homes, corrugated roofing instead of just dung and hay. All these little itty bitty things. But here's the thing I love. Their strategy and their mission is they want to see generational transformation. They just don't want to help a problem. They're thinking generations. And the only hope for generational change like that is Jesus Christ. And so at the heart of all they do, all these ministries are brought to these communities through churches. They're planting churches. Their vision is they want a church within a 90-minute walk. So if you wake up on a Sunday and you're like, I don't want to go to church, it's a 10-minute drive. They'll walk 90 minutes to go to church, but they stay there 3 hours, 4 hours. It's like I'm preaching. So by keeping the church as a center, because one of the other thing that they're missing, when they're a nomadic pastoral people, they're sharing this common land. The group ranch is what it was called. They're sharing all this, and so they had community in that, right? There's community happening in the way that they were wandering. Well, now with the division and the fences, the vision and the hope is, and what's happening is the church is now the center of community. It's a center of connection. So not only is it strategic, it's sending the message that at the center of all of this is Jesus Christ. And it's so cool to see because they're discipling pastors. And we're not just sending missionary pastors. They're mentoring, equipping, and discipling Maasai to become pastors. I'm excited. I'm very excited about this because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for, I think, the global church. One of the things that's caused the challenges that they're facing right now is the fact that there has not been a central foundation of an other-centered ethic, of love your neighbor as yourself. And it's caused a lot of corruption and manipulation, even in the disbursement of these lots. It's caused, and that's caused a lot of strife, a lot of mistrust. And when there's mistrust, you tend to hoard, and it just compounds. But imagine if at the center of their community was a church that was reminding them of the teachings of Jesus all the time. And they're seeing the fruit of that in their daily life. And then where this is going to compound is their children. And they have lots of children, right? When their children are raised in an ethos of other-centeredness, Christ-centeredness, we'll see more change. And so I love all the things that Africa Hope does. And I think there's NGOs that try to do a lot of these specific things, not necessarily with the Maasai. There's actually not a lot going on. There's some, but Africa Hope kind of has this central hub with the Maasai in Narok County. And but when you put Jesus in the center, I'm all in. Like that's what sustains. That's where we'll see God's kingdom come to Narok as it is in heaven, is when God's people start living in the ethic of Jesus Christ, to love others and esteem them as yourself. So we're going to have Nate come on up, and we don't have much scripted, but we thought we'd let him speak, and then any questions, and we'll riff. Go.
Video? Are we good? There we are. So, video, you? What else is there for me to say? Well, there's for me to say thank you for all of you and your support and encouragement over the years that has allowed me to reach the stage where I am. And it is through friends that were made here in Corvallis almost a dozen years ago that I am able to go and be part of the church in a part of the world that I never wanted anything to do with, but now is home. So thank you for providing that opportunity. And we could sit here, you would need at least 4 PowerPoint slides to cover everything that is happening now. Because we've talked about the agriculture program that is happening in Kenya. We've talked a bit about the rest of the programs that I am being given/inherited from more than 20 years of faithfulness by my father-in-law. And then we still have, even though I no longer live in Zambia, we still have an entire agricultural and school program that is happening in Zambia as well. So I stay busy. But it is beautiful, and the fact that I have family here that is supporting, and now my family is in Kenya, that it's a very beautiful picture, and it's a beautiful time to be able to serve a very noble people.
I was thinking, I bet you one thing we all want to know is more about your personal life.
My favorite part to talk about.
Yeah.
I think your order was slightly off in the introduction of Nanyu. So New International has, my father-in-law is one of the very first missionaries that has been serving with New International, started Africa Hope. And so Phil Hudson, who's a bit of a crazy old man, said, I want you to stop by Africa Hope in Kenya. I'm like, yeah, sure, fine. I'm going to Tanzania. I'm going to Zambia. I'll stop through. So I was there for 2 weeks. And during that time, I saw the farm and said, no, thanks. This is too much like Eastern Oregon. Get me away from here. I didn't actually really meet Nanyu at that point because she was so shy and reserved. I saw her passing maybe one time, hiding from the funny white people. It is only when I accidentally ended up later. So from Kenya, traveled down through Tanzania. There's another agriculture research organization that if I talk too much about, Lou will blur me out again, that I visited. And then was in Zambia, started the program there, and then permits became a problem. It was only after that that I ended up back in Zambia, and my wife and I were forced to be in the same place that both of our introverted selves went, aha.
Mm-hmm.
And
look at that white boy.
Which my wife wanted nothing to do with because she wasn't going to be one of those gold digger people. So, bless my wife.
Oh, you have to know this. Among the Maasai, the sign of wealth is your livestock, typically cattle. And that's the sign of wealth. And they parade it. They walk around and they're showing off their wealth when they're walking around with their cattle. And so imagine their shock when they learn that Nate is the son of a rancher who has 800 head of cattle in Oregon.
My dad made a lot of friends real quick, like.
Love it.
Yeah, so it was a beautiful process. But then there was, both of us are pretty reserved and don't like being out there. And then there's also this cultural gap of you never show any sort of affection anywhere in public. And then culturally, you don't introduce your future spouse to your parents until it's a done deal. My father-in-law's office is 15 feet the other direction. So that made dynamics very interesting. But God is so good. And faith in our Lord and Savior changes a person. It changes a culture. And so I was able to sit down with my father-in-law, and he was able to take off his Maasai cap and put on his Christian cap. And he said, you know what? Not exactly what we had in mind for the girls, but what Lorna and I have always prayed for is that our daughters would marry a Christian. And because you are a Christian, our hearts are at peace. And that cleared the way.
That's cool. That's cool. I keep in contact with Tim. He has such an admiration for Nate, and he's so grateful. Also because you represent a horizon where he can see he can retire now, right? With you and Nanyu taking over. Before we go there, why don't you talk about the Bud Buds?
The Bud Buds, Eliezer Lamayan and Ephraim Linkai, Z and Remy. Z and Remy. We can work with that. So December 31st last year, we welcomed identical twin boys into the world.
Do we have a picture of the
I think there's a
twins?
couple of pictures. The whitest little mixed babies I have seen in my entire life.
Okay. So I'm sitting there. I've seen mixed babies. And I'm sitting there holding, and then Tim, father-in-law, is holding the other one. And I think I was holding Z, and I went, they're so white. And Tim went, so white.
Everywhere we go, the conversation is, Mazungu kabisa, completely white. They are just the father's children. What did the mother even do? So that makes for a fun conversation topic. But at home, we all know that the eyes and nose are moms. And
Yeah, very blessed to have the grandparents right there. While Nate's here, Nanyu is at their home. Lorna, Nanyu's mom, made these shirts. She has a business in town where she hires locals to make these beaded bracelets and shirts and gives them a job. And it's a really cool ministry she has. We have some of the things out there for sale, or for you. If you want to donate, you can too, but they're not for sale. And so one of the things about these beaded things, they're intended to tell a story. And in the Maasai culture, every color contributes to the story. And I remember I had a bracelet that I grabbed from the table, and I loved it because and I was looking up what the colors mean, right? And there's the red means the blood of the warrior, and white means purity, and the green means fruitfulness or faithfulness or stuff like that. And I was putting together this story, and it just meant so much to me. And I get down to Kenya, and I'm talking to Lorna, who makes these things, and I was telling her, I've been reading about this, what this means, and I really love this because, basically this is telling the same story as my tattoo. And I told her what it was, and the warriors protecting the purity of the da-da-da-da. And she went, oh, that's the Kenyan flag.
If you tell a good enough story, a white guy will buy anything.
Right? Hey, it meant something to me. So I'm wearing a different one. Heather designed these when we were down there because she thought our kids would like these, and so we have a bunch of these for our kids. It's village kids. But yeah.
Yeah, so there's this huge honor in having such a faithful organization passed over to my wife and I, but also incredibly huge shoes to fill. We were recently filling out the kind of financial year-end survey that every missionary within New International does. And we were talking about what regular events were you teaching at, different things that happened like that. And Tim is sitting down, well, there was this community event that I was at, and there were 3,000 people there that I was able to share the gospel at. And my mother-in-law has 35 people that come through the shop that she ministers to every day on top of those that she already hires that are in vulnerable positions. And so there's this incredible family legacy that we are able to, with joy and trepidation, carry forward.
Yeah, Nate is also inheriting connections through Tim and just Nate's presence. You can imagine Nate walking around Norok County. He stands out a little bit.
Just a little bit.
He's a little pasty. But when we were walking around with him, everywhere we went, somebody knew him. Nate! He introduced me as Umchungaji. Muchungaji.
Shepherd or pastor.
Pastor. And they immediately honor to me because of you. That was kind of cool. But yeah, it was cool to see how you have a home. You have friends, you have community, you have connections, and you're making a big impact in people's lives and in the ministry. So we're very proud of you. One of the things I wanted to present to you or ask you as a supporter or friend of Nate, My mind and what it means to support Nate has had a paradigm shift in the last probably 2 years, as we've seen this opportunity with Africa Hope. Instead of me thinking, okay, we're going to send him money and we'll pray for him, I want to go all in. I want to get more involved, financially, organizationally, personally, and I just want to ask you to pray. Maybe God's calling you to get more involved. If you're a supporter, maybe there's a legacy type donation you could think of, or if you want to go, we hope to go once a year to send a team. We'd love for you to join us. If you have ideas, one thing you don't do is when Nate's back here, give him a whole bunch of things to take back to Kenya with him.
Because you've already done it?
Yeah. And you tell me to stop doing it. But yeah, there's lots of ways. But yeah, would you consider that? Maybe God's calling you to shift the way you think about what it means to support a missionary, to be bigger, whatever that means, bigger. One of the things that I talked to Nate's parents about, and I've talked to Jonathan and Lou about it, and a few people here in the church. We want to create a group that is concerned about Nate's funding. And we want to find ways to do big fundraising events. We do some things that are great. We do garage sales and bazaars and stuff like that. We raise funds, $2,000-$3,000 at a time here and there for Nate. But there's bigger ways that we could be thinking. And I'm not the answer person, but I'd love to collaborate with people and figure out what that could look like. If you want to join that team with Nate's parents and us and others, here's why I'm thinking that way. The nature of Africa Hope was started by Tim and Phil. They raised the support from their personal network to start Africa Hope. Some of Tim's support, and he's already working on it, is being shifted to the organization and away, and not just him personally. But I know the nature of that. Heather's parents were missionaries, and there's. Think about it. We love and support Nate. We don't know Africa Hope. And if Nate disappeared, we wouldn't have that emotional draw to Africa Hope, relational draw. So there will be a time where Nate and Nanyu will be responsible for Africa Hope, and that includes its finances. We're talking 5-7 years down the road.
Uh-huh.
But I want to start talking about it now, so we can be thinking that way. One of the interesting things, New International is in Florida, heavily based in Florida, and 99% of the support for, is that about right? Comes from the Southeast.
At least for Africa Hope presently. For Family Partners is primarily in Florida and through parts of the South as well.
Yeah.
Very, very little Northwestern presence.
Yeah. So I remember talking to them, hey, what other supporters do you have for New International altogether in the Pacific Northwest? And they don't. And so there's not a lot to leverage there. But anyway, that's what I wanted to put out there and ask you. Don't know what it's going to look like. I just know that life is better when we figure stuff out together. So.
And it's been quite the transition and process, because when I left again 3.5 years ago as a single guy, my support was pretty good. I was going to help another existing organization, so I was 95, 97% of support. 3.5 years on, family of 4, with 3 ministries that we are directly involved in that support over 30 families. that are the primary workers and carers and project leaders that then impact probably 1,000 students a day, on top of impacting over almost 500 families that are currently supported through family partners. There have been over 40 churches that have been planted by Africa Hope over the last 20 years. We're actively planting another 3. My numbers went a little bit upside down there for a minute.
Yeah.
And are slowly recovering,
Yeah.
but there's a long way to go, and it is a process, and it is a journey, and I'm just reminded of that process and journey, looking around the room at those that I met a dozen years ago, those that I met 45 minutes ago, and people that have become good, lifelong friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so, thank you again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. If you would like more information on Nate's ministry and maybe a link to a way that you could get connected, I'm going to ask you to fill out this card with your information, and we will get that to you. Okay, so I'll be passing out these cards. Just put your name, your phone, your email, and that's all you need to do tonight. We will collect these on your way out, and then make sure to get you more information. Okay, we'll send that to you right away.
One of the visions for specifically for Maji, Moto, and Nate, who is, I don't know if you saw, he's an agriculturalist. It's a cool title. Do you have to be certified to be agriculturalist?
I mean, you can be certified, but I'm probably certified something else.
The vision is to have 6 employees to really get the farm fruitful in the way where it can a quicker impact. When you say 6 employees, right? We talked about this.
Uh-huh.
That is, do we say $15,000 a year, roughly?
Yeah, so for the employees directly to hire our farm manager and then 5 area leaders, we're looking at about $15,000 a year.
Yeah. So this is the way Nate is now thinking, and he's no longer thinking, I need to fundraise so I can support my family. He's now thinking, we have ministries that need to happen and need funding, and now it's on him to figure out the funding for these ministries. And so that's an example of like Nate's shifting, thinking has to shift, and he is shifting, and that means that mine does too. So that's just one example.
And there's another kind of adjacent to that. We are looking at the agriculture situation where we are at, and people haven't had access to actual farmland. It's all been open grazing. Now with the transition to farmable land is being able to actually manage that at scale, planting hay fields, planting silage, harvesting feed for animals, is the equipment is not readily available. And so with the Maji Moto Farm Resource Center, we're hoping to be able to provide agricultural expertise for people so that they know what they can plant, how they can plant, but also hoping to offer services for custom farming. And we've been running some numbers, and in order to get the full setup that we would need to start farming, our own land, being able to do all of our own trial plots, but also custom farming for neighbors, family partners, other in the community, it would cost us about $60,000 to get the full setup.
Yeah.
And as of 2 weeks ago, we've received a $40,000 matching grant up to the end of the year. So anything that comes in between now and December 31st, there is a large donor that has agreed to double that. Minimum $40,000, and we'll consider above that towards the farm enterprise that will help us, but will also provide us the opportunity to generate our own income going forward, which is a lot of what we're looking at. Things have gone sideways, this side of the world and the whole world, multiple times over the last 20, 30 years. And so I think for ministries and missions and individuals serving abroad, just having financial support from the home side is not going to be long-term sustainable. We need to also be efficient and sustainable and generate income where we are at. And for us, it's simply good witness in the area where we are at to provide good, honest service as Christian business owners, as Christian neighbors. It's a completely different paradigm than what people are experiencing presently.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any questions, comments?
Yes, so for where we are at, looking at a 75 horsepower tractor, small baler, so we're doing small 2-string hay bales, and then with that the mower, rake, and then disc plow and harrow for preparing the land for the hay to go in. And that's kind of our baseline set. That will get us moving. There's other niceties further on down the road that we would like to add. But for that basic set, that'll get us started. Sorry? Yes. Kenya used equipment is not a gamble that I am prepared to make. Mm-hmm. So that with the larger scale stuff like the haymaking, Henry touches my tractor and I touch my tractor. But we are at the same time also introducing much smaller, more manageable things for small scale holders. So using, for the hay production, we are promoting a hand baler where someone can go with a weed whacker with basically a lawnmower blade on it and prepare some of their own hay, rake it by hand, developing some small scale tools. So things like that we are promoting on the side to say, hey, if you want to do this yourself, here's an option. If you want to do this at a larger scale and custom hire, here's another option, here's another option, here's another option. I've seen far too many people that have come in and do one prescribed thing. You need to do this and your life will be better. Our hope across all of the areas is to provide options. Do you want to be a dairy farmer? Here's a direction that you can go. Do you want to be a hay farmer and feedlot animals? Here's another direction that you can go. Here are options. We will do the research and find the 57 things that don't work in our area and the 2 that do, and then provide seed access for those things. Because I want people to have options in their hands and not some nanny telling them what to do.
Something that's kind of cool, you may remember Nate initially went with a ministry called Foundations for Farming. Mm-hmm. And they had some really cool biblical principles and teachings and frameworks that I hear you still using today in as an agriculturalist, as you're helping people. One of the things that was really cool, we went to this INQ.
Yeah, you were better on that one.
See? Give me a break. Can someone say Mchungaji? Like, oh, I guess it is me. Okay. She just nailed it. So, anyway, I got emotional because I see Nate we're at this homestead where Africa Hope and Nate has helped them figure out what to grow and where. And it's like this sloped land, and Nate intentionally has the right thing at the top of the hill because something comes, this is my interpretation, something cascades down and it makes it good for things. And then, but he's getting in the soil with these people and they're just hanging on every word, and he's teaching them, and this is what Lou kind of fast forwarded through, he's teaching them that just principles, like, you know how just like there's some people who take and some people that give. Yeah. That's Nate. I'll come back to that. So he's teaching them the gospel while teaching them about certain things you plant that are generous to the soil and certain things that take. And how when you do things in season, the way with God as he intends, when you plan to harvest when God says the weather is dictating it's time to harvest and do things with God and in line with Him. And it's just, the gospel is right there. And I got to watch him do it. It was pretty sweet. And the other thing I loved is he's teaching the older men, but the younger men, the teenage boys, they were more engaged. Like they were watching and they're listening. They're talking to each other as you're saying stuff. And
Standing over on the side where they belong.
yes.
But listening intently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because so much of it is relationship. Our relationship with the Father, our relationship amongst ourselves, and the relationship with the world around us. And so in many ways that extends to the soil. Most of us will never worry about that a day in our life. But for people that are earning their living, are earning their livelihood, are interacting with it on a daily basis, the relational nature of God's creation is a way to connect and go deep with people immediately.
Yeah. Yes.
What is your ministry's relationship with the Kenyan government and the crops that we talked about growing up in those times? Where do those crops end up? Are any of them sold to the public, or is it?
Yeah, so one of the things first question, relationship with the government. My father-in-law is a master communicator and member of the community, and so we have very good relationships with a lot of government officials, and a lot of the agreements that we have allow us to work freely in the community. And when there is a partnership or overlap, then we will work alongside of existing initiatives. But where we work, things aren't as pretty. A lot of the government initiatives and research and training happens up in the highlands that has much higher rainfall. Kenya produces a lot of sugarcane, a lot of coffee, a lot of tea, but that's all in the pretty parts of the country that are not marginal. So in many ways, our end has been left behind, and so where the government has stopped, that's where we begin. And that's been my father-in-law's philosophy from the beginning, is a lot of people work in town. Because you can go to work and you go to the coffee shop and you go home. Where we work, we are out in the boonies where everybody else stops and is unwilling to go. There's a reason why I've cracked the frame on my truck twice, getting to the areas where we serve, is it's a difficult place. And then for the crops is there are local markets. Typically each area will have a market day one day a week that people can go and buy and sell and trade, whether it's vegetables or grains or other things. As we go on down the line, we would like to look at more value addition services, but a lot of the transition right now is, I was grazing my cows and goats and sheep everywhere. Now I have 27 acres, I have 50 acres. Where do I start? How do we introduce improved varieties of crops that will actually grow? Not trying to mimic the guys in the highlands that grow the highest yielding, longest maturing sort of crops, but what works in our area. And then those can go back into family consumption for market consumption. And then we're also working on the relational nature of feeding the soil, building the soil so that it can bless us generationally. So where we are at, it's a very dry area. The Maasai historically covered almost the entirety of Kenya, but they were the one tribe in Kenya that would never sign an official agreement with the British. And so as other tribes capitulated and signed agreements, the Maasai kept getting pushed further and further and further out into the areas where no one wanted to be. So the area where we are at, on a good year, will often receive about 1 foot of precipitation over 2 rainy seasons. There's a longer rainy season that happens typically March, April, May, and then another one that we might get in October, November as a short rain. But in a drought-ridden place, it's possible. Last year, we had the rains completely failed. During the long rains, we received 2 rains, and the short rains entirely failed. So in a period of 16 months, we got 2 rains. So that's where we have to be very intentionally selective of what we grow, perennial crops that can bounce back as soon as there is rainfall. In our nutrition program, we also promote very drought-resistant crops and vegetables that can survive through a drought season, and then when there is rain, flourish very quickly. And then we're also investing in methodologies for preserving things for longer, working on methods of producing silage that can be stored at a small homestead scale, producing hay, being able to store it in adequate hay barns. So a lot of it is how do we be resilient with a very brittle environment. It has been a push. So large portions of Kenya were set aside for private demarcation about the time of independence in the 1960s. So Henry, our farm manager, his inheritance 3 generations on is 3/4 of an acre. For the areas where the Maasai are primarily at, land was put into communal holdings called group ranches. The idea was always kind of to reach private ownership, but with the group ranch system, it helped people to maintain the more traditional way of life. But people were getting nervous because human nature is human nature, and people are selfish and greedy and want to take as much as they can for themselves. So where we are at, we're about an hour and a half away from the Masai Mara, one of the premier game reserves on the entire continent. And there's no fences outside of it. And it's highly lucrative to be able to put up a lodge inside of the camp or to be able to buy land just outside and set up. So as the perceived value of land was increasing, the local communities were worried that the government was just going to come in under the influence of powerful individuals and just take everything and say, oh, this is now part of the Masai Mara, move on with your lives, you get nothing.
Because they had already done that.
They've done it in other areas. Ours is one of the last where it has happened. It happened in other places near Amboseli, which is another popular park where you can see Kilimanjaro. And so the community was very nervous. If we don't get our piece now, then there's going to be nothing left. And so they voted for the demarcation process to take place. So for most of the areas where we work, people received their title deeds January of last year. And
I'll
the
give you
number
the
of
tea,
fences
though,
that
some
come
of the
up is-
tea.
yeah.
This was initiated by the World Bank. They have a theory that community land is a depreciating asset without regulation, because an individual that shares in this communal space can always add another cattle at no expense to them, and they can add more cattle and add more, and it ends up depleting the asset. So that's a whole theory, a sociological theory of land ownership. And the World Bank is pushing this as a path to prosperity since the 60s. And so there's been a series of acts and government initiatives that have led to this place. And in my research, every turn of this process has been met with corruption, manipulation. Like one of the
When
things,
the gospel and honesty are not at the center, things
Right.
go bad real quick.
Yeah.
They go bad fast enough when we do have a Christian ethic.
Yeah.
Imagine if you take that Christian ethic away, and powerful men will be powerful men.
And this is the same reason I have an unction for us in the United States. You know, if we look at the future, if we look at what we're facing now, there's a future to that thing, of whatever it is that we don't know and we don't know what's happening. There's a future to it, and you and I aren't going to be here to be establishing legislation for that future, but our children are. And if the next generation has a Christian ethic, they're going to make the right decisions. So evangelism is extremely important to us, existentially, but it's even more poignantly in a situation like this where everything's so tenuous. Yeah, I've had following the money on this has been fascinating. One of the things, if you think about what's happening, is the World Bank likes to create wealth, and they create wealth through loans loans creates, we're actually borrowing money from the future, and it realizes today in a property loan. So now all of a sudden, all these private deeded lands have the ability to carry a mortgage or some type of loan against it, and that increases the world economic, the volume of monies.
And the level of disparity that ends up happening is huge. The average family that we work with at the moment makes about $1,500 a year. Yet the governor and the members of parliament fly to every event on their helicopters. And the successful businessmen in town drive their $150,000 Land Cruisers up and down like it's nothing. And so that level of disparity is mind-numbing at times.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, little Zambia sidetrack around, lighten up the mood a little bit.
Sorry. Yeah.
So the project that we have in Zambia, Restoration Works is the organization that we created to support agricultural education from presently a primary school level all the way up through secondary or high school eventually. Where we've reached now is we are one coat of paint away from completely finishing the second classroom block, which means that we will now have one classroom for each grade for every student and a teacher for each grade, which one would think is pretty standard, but when we first started working with Ernest, he was renting a 3-room house, had 3 teachers and 1 blackboard, to where we're at now, where there's 250 students that are able to go to school for a full day, every day, and have a meal provided. In 1 year, we went from a 50% pass rate for the national exams to an 85% pass rate. And we're on track to hit 90% this year with those students. And so now they are meeting on land that belongs to them, and a school that is theirs, and in an environment where every kid has the space and the capacity that they need to learn. And every one of these kids is coming from an underprivileged background, whether they've lost parents, they have physical disabilities, they are unable to go to another school. If it was not for Mulien Academy, many of them would be on the street. After the last coat of paint, I relax and celebrate a little bit. Once we get to the paint in, then we will be able to call the National Examination Council of Zambia that will come and approve us. We have to have basically a built-in safe in the school that the national exam can be stored in. And once we get that certification, then the students will actually be able to take the exam at the school, versus what we've been having to do is they get loaded up in the back of a truck with 2 or 3 days' food and shipped off to another school halfway across the county to be able to go and take the test. So we are also convinced that if they're able to take the test at the same school that they go to with the same people around, that will also help to increase the test scores, reduce anxiety over certain things like that. We are working on setting up a perimeter fence for the property so that we have a little bit better security, because now we are growing a large amount of vegetables. All of the bricks that were made for the wall that is being built right now were paid for by a tomato project that was run at the farm. 3 months of the teacher salaries last year were paid by the sale of trees that we produced in the nursery that we're able to sell into the community. So there's enough value there that it's helpful to have an extra layer of protection. Once we complete that, we would like to work on electrifying the school, putting a computer room so they're able to do more of their own printing of materials. Because the hope that seems so strange and far-fetched for us is every teacher has a workbook for their grades, and every student has a notebook that they can write in. And that is not met in most places, and we are slowly able to reach that need. So of the 250 students, the funding model for that side is we've set up a scholarship program. So someone can support a student for $15 a month, and that covers everything that we need. Right now, we are at about 46 of those 250 students that receive scholarships. So we're to the point where we are now covering most of the teachers' salaries, but not able to move forward in the way that we would like to. If we can reach 75 scholarships, we'll be able to cover all of our basic ongoing needs and really effectively plan for the future and where we are going. The dream and the vision has been to create an agritech secondary school. So these primary school students up to grade 7, once they complete Mulian Academy right now, depending on how they test, they can go to different schools around, but often lack the resources to continue effectively. Our dream is to create that agritech school that those same students would be able to continue with up until graduation. So per month to support one student is $15. And then that goes and allows us to cover all of that. And there's currently 46, I believe, that have full scholarship.
So one thing about, Nate, I get this all the time. People ask about Village Church. How are you guys doing so many things? No, my family says, Mike, how are you doing so many things? Right? And it's not. We give people space, we equip, we invest, and it's, I mean, if you look at the things Village Church does, to people who know me think I'm doing all these things, and I'm not. It's just amazing people that are serving in my church family. And it's the same with you. You are discipling, equipping, releasing as fast as you can. Let's wrap up. Maybe talk about Little John and the essential oils. That gives you an idea of like where your brain took discipleship in a practical way.
Those are two separate things. Which one do you want me to go with?
Well, I saw you teaching Little John. But I guess you're right, separate.
Yeah.
But.
So again, like Micah said, the scope of the work is not me, but the people that the Lord has blessed me with. For Zambia, it is Ernest. For Africa Hope, it is Tom and Eunice and Meshach and Little John and Henry. These people that have been a huge encouragement to me, and they've vouched for the opposite. And so almost all of those stories come from people that were not given a chance otherwise. Ernest had polio when he was a kid and has a twisted leg. He's not able to work. His dad died when he was young, and he ended up on the street. Through God's provision, he was able to complete secondary school, but ended up back on the street, not able to find a job. Through the Lord's conviction one day, he said, either I'm going to sit here and beg on the side of the street for the rest of my life, or I'm going to do something to help people like me. And that's Mulian Academy today. An up-and-coming example is Little John, my right-hand man. He came, his father was a part-time security guard for the Africa Hope site. And John, at 22 years of age, is the primary supporter for his family. On the $130 a month that he makes, he supports his mom. He puts 2 younger sisters and a younger brother through school and serves many other extended family members. And I had been struggling to find someone that was willing and wanting to work in the garden. Many of the Maasai are herders. They want to follow the animals around. Someone willing to do a hard day's work is very difficult to find. And I think I was on the 3rd or 4th guy trying to get them to learn how to do the gardening to standard with integrity. And I was very frustrated and almost ready to give up on the garden project. And John came and said, can I try? I want to learn. And so the last 2+ years, I've been specifically mentoring him. We've been able to, in addition to teaching him, downloading a lot of the agricultural knowledge that I've had, we've been able to send him to a computer course, so he's been able to increase his skills and start writing better reports that we can send and share with donors and other people. We've sent him to a plumbing course, so he comes and works on projects at our house and my father-in-law's, and that has enabled him to nearly double his income by having projects on the side. It's not me just giving him more money, giving him things, but he is eager to gain knowledge and serve his people. And so with that, we've been able to start the nutrition program as well. So he's now joining alongside of the pastoral and church planting programs. And when we are going up into the mountains or out into the valley to minister to pastors and leaders in the church, we are also able to discuss nutritional gardening and ethical farming, and all of these things become integrated because someone was curious and faithful, loved the Lord, and loves his community. Mm-hmm. If I can work with more people like that, man, we're in great shape.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
I was single when I left, and now I have a wife and twin boys. Originally, so I'm from Eastern Oregon. I grew up on a farm and a ranch in Eastern Oregon, out in the middle of nowhere. And the end of my senior year of high school, I was planning on going back to the Midwest and studying materials engineering. And the youth group that I was reluctantly part of at the time put on a 30-hour famine through World Vision. And it turns out prayer and fasting is a bit of a dangerous practice if you are committed to your own plans. And after 30 hours of prayer and fasting, the Lord thugged me on the head and turned me about 180 degrees from what I was planning on doing. And at that time, it wasn't Africa specifically, because I would have said no and turned off and run away like Jonah. So God was gentle enough with me to give, what is the next step? What is the next step? What is the next step? Until that has led me to Africa and my family and the place that is now home. Oh man, I'll have to come back in 2 years and then we can have a whole discussion about that one. But
she asked, how has the mission and the people changed you?
Changed me.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other discussion. I am a very different person than when I left. And some of that is the people, but ultimately it is the goodness and graciousness of God that has humbled me, has made me more relational in nature. And then it has, my wife has humbled me as well. And cross-cultural marriage and the beauty that is family in a place with a different culture. How do we honor people where they are? And that has also helped to make me more empathetic in my home culture, where I often get quite cross with people and the decisions that they make.
We could go on and on and on, but it's getting warmer in here. Yeah.
So the easiest way, if anyone here would like to contribute towards the $40,000 matching, for now is to send to Village so that we can compile it all together into one gift that can then be sent to the Agricultural Fund. Correct.
Yeah, through the app and website, Nate's already listed as a category. Cool. You'll have to stay tuned for the essential oil story. It's kind of cool.
Yes.
Let's pray for Nate. Joe, would you like to come up and pray with us? Barbie, you're welcome. Jess and KJ? Oh, they left. Oh, I thought they were Christians. This is our eldership team. We love Nate. Yeah. Joe, you want to start?
Dear gracious Lord, we come to you at this time. We thank you for this time we've had tonight to hear about the great work that Nate and Nanyo are doing and their family in Africa, Lord. They are our hands. We can't be there. And the work they're doing is so important with such wonderful results for you, Lord. Lord, just continue to bless Nate and the work that all of them are doing. Guide them. Let your spirit be with them and help them through this times of up and down when finances are not real plentiful and the rain doesn't come and the crops don't grow. Just give them peace and comfort and help them to know that you're in charge and guide them in the things they do. Lord, we just thank you for everyone that's able to be here tonight to hear this message and for us to have it touch our hearts that we would want to be a part of it, and not just by words, but by opening our pockets to help in this important work, Lord, and give for all the work that is being done.
Heavenly Father, we ask for your protection over Nate, Nanyu, Remy, and Z. And we ask that you will continue to guide Nate's steps. Just as you did when he was praying and fasting and seeking you, you showed him what you wanted for him. And so we ask that you'll continue to do that. You'll continue to show him what your will is so he can hear that and obey you and trust you. Thank you that he was willing, and we are all inspired by his actions. So, Lord, give us hearts, too, that are willing and humble before you, willing to do what you call us to do, to make disciples here or there on the other side of the world. And we know that you are with him wherever he goes. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
Amen. God bless you, man. All right. If you want to see the longer video, let me know. Somehow we'll make it public facing. I think we have it in our Vimeo that we could just give you the public link to that. And if you want to be part of figuring out how to dream about contributing to the bigger picture, reach out to me. Let me know. Yeah.
Africa's not that scary, and the guest room's ready.
That's
Come
right.
and see the work that we are doing.
If you want to go with us, we're looking to go, depending on when you're traveling, February, March, sometime time frame. But the cool thing about Africa Hope is if we go to Kenya, there's a 14-acre compound where there's housing, there's food, it's like you have a place to land, and ministries to participate in. Anyway, I could keep talking all day. I love you guys. God bless you. Grab some leftovers, please.